Welcome to Man Island Radio.
I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, it's good to be back here on Man Island Radio.
Yeah!
Where the hell have you been, you mother brother?
Well, I've been busy in the magical land of Punani.
I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, I've never seen you so happy.
It's a magical land.
I've never seen you so happy, Bob. I'll tell you what, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you what, Jay Stockwell, you show me a divorced man, I'll show you a man who's happy.
I'll show you a man who's departed with half his funds and half his fun.
I think he's departed with half his funds and all of his happiness.
I'll tell you what though, Bob Fraley, we have acquired new happiness, new Punani happiness. And we are live in love. That's what we is.
Nobody home.
You may be wondering why we're talking like this.
Why are we talking like this, Jay Stockwell? I sound like my daddy.
Okay, I went to a Nebraska family reunion, and it's so funny. When you're from Nebraska, you have no accent. There is no accent in Nebraska.
Oh, for nice, there is an accent in Nebraska.
No, that's Minneapolis, don't you know?
Oh, it's the same thing. It's all the flyover country to me.
Oh yeah, but we were in Wayzata, don't you know? We went on that Minnesota Viking boat, don't you know?
Oh, you did? You
really?
really?
Oh yeah, went on the same boats and everything in Minnesota Viking.
I keep moving this handle, and now, by the way, people, we had a whole really funny video podcast that we did, and Jay, as our technical expert here and internet maven, forgot to push the record button.
I'll tell you what,
you want to record something, you ought to push that record button.
I'll tell you what, that red record button, it's got to be punched before you're recording anything. Otherwise, you're just talking to your computer.
That's right. You're just like a crazy man. You're like Grandpa. What are you doing talking to that damn computer like nothing? Get some men up, I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, you've got to hit the red record button.
Gotta
if you
hit
want
that
one
record
damn
button.
thing on that video.
Hit that record button.
But I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, I went to my family reunion. My brother.
I gotta tell you something, Jay Stockwell. I'll tell you what, you look kind of scary in this picture
I'll
right
tell
here.
you what, Bob Fraley, that's the way I'm gonna look from now on. On this podcast, on this vidcast, whatever we are now, that's the way I'm gonna look, Bob Fraley.
You're scaring me.
Bob Fraley, I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, that's the way I look.
Is that like a 30-gallon hat?
I'll
or 40-gallon?
tell
You got like a 60-gallon hat.
I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, that's my head's bigger than the price of oil right now. I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley. And I went to that reunion. My brother, who lives in Roanoke, Virginia.
Roanoke?
Yeah.
How do you Roanoke?
He's born in Lincoln, Nebraska, but now he talks like this every
I
time.
tell you what.
Every other sentence begins with, I'll tell you what, Mr. Bob Fraley.
Mr. 32 Chief.
And I can't figure out how he didn't know your name was Frady. Many times as you said your name on our podcast, how did he not know your name was Frady?
I'm Bob Fraley.
I'll tell you what, he done got your name dadgum wrong.
I think your brother has a speech impediment.
I'll tell you what, how he's impeded. All right, not right now. He went to Vegas on his way, and he left his gallbladder in the desert.
Dude, he's a bad. Yeah, I tell you what, man, leave a gallbladder in the desert. I mean, he's here to go to the desert no more.
Let me just tell you what, Bob Fraley, he just got himself dealt a bad hand of cards, and he left that gallbladder right on the table. And I'll tell you what, he came to family, he didn't have a gallbladder.
Something's different about you. Hey, what is that? Oh, yeah, no gallbladder. I knew it was something. I couldn't decide. Did you lose a piece of your liver? Maybe your pancreas shrank? No, it's no gallbladder.
I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, he came to that he had plastic surgery on his belly button because it was done endoscopically. You see what I'm saying? You got what I'm saying, Bob Fraley? He had an Audi. They took out his gallbladder, and then he had an itty with the smiley face on it.
I tell you what, you come with an endoscopic surgery and operate on my Audi. You better bring me a Mercedes when you're done.
I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley, I've been thinking long and hard about our comeback, and I think we're coming back. I think Man Island Radio's coming back.
I'm not too sure that's a good thing, Jay Stockwell.
I'll tell you, we've invested hard-earned money in this video capability, and Man Island Radio, see, YouTube came out in 2002. It's 2008. We're finally catching up.
I tell you what, it might take us a while to catch up, but when we catch up, we catch up.
And we're catching up, and we've invested. Next time, we're going to turn the lights on, too.
Next time, I think we might get us a Macintosh computer.
I'll tell you what. Recording video is harder than it looks, Bob Fraley. Bob Fraley, you don't push that red button, you aren't going to record nothing.
You know what? Sometimes, I tell you what, Jay Starko, sometimes it's a good thing you don't push that record button.
Well, that's because we need the wide-angle lens, and sometimes...
I'm not too sure you want me to see with a 50-gallon hat and a glass of red wine in your hand. Where's your bourbon? Or your bottled water?
I'll tell you what. Now
I got my Nebraska hat on. We know the value of bottled water.
I'm glad you brought Nebraska up, because I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you one thing, Mr. Fraley. I'm going to tell you one damn thing certain. Them's Nebraska Cornhuskers is coming back this year under Bo Pelini. I'll tell you what.
Well, I hope they come back. They got to get home.
I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley. We're going to open up a can of whoop ass on these Big 12, these independents, and them bowl BCS championship bullshit teams. We're going to make them USC Trojans. We're going to scare them back to freaking Cyprus. I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley. That's what we're going to do.
Well, I'm glad you're going to do that. I'm glad. I tell you what, you do that, and I'll wear that goddamn hat.
I'll tell you what. I'll trade you hats any goddamn time you want, because I'm proud of that, and it stands for knowledge.
Stands for Nebraska.
All right, Bob Fraley. We are limited to 10 minutes on our new friend YouTube. I'll tell you what, Bob Fraley.
I'll tell YouTube what.
YouTube is our friend, Bob Fraley.
I tell you what. Let's do drunk. I tell you what. I tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
I'll
tell you what, Bob Fraley.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Bob. YouTube, they are friends. TiPad, they are friends. iTunes, they are friends. And Man Island Radio is back. My name is Jay Stockwell.
I'm Bob Fraley.
Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
I tell you what, you better come back here next week. I catch you here again, boy. I'm gonna skin you like a Memphis catfish.
I'll tell you what, we're back.